Next question, the first person to answer will be Bob Barrett. The question is, Bob, what is the role of state government?
Well, the role of state government, according to our Constitution, is to protect people, to serve their needs, and to provide for their safety. Those are the three areas according to our Constitution. And unfortunately, in state government, we think we need to do much more than that. It's funny, education is listed 2 times in our Constitution. One, as it relates to the 3/8% increase in sales tax that just happened, that was dedicated to not education, but wildlife and other areas. So education is even listed in our Constitution as one of the 3 things that we need to do. So the role is to provide for our safety. That's number 1. And to serve our needs. Obviously, we need to tax. Government needs to tax to serve our needs. But they are here to build roads, things we can't do or couldn't do as effectively in the private sector. That's what I believe state government should do. Roads, education, well, not obviously, I guess, historically, has not been the role of government. It is today. Will be for some time in the future because we've established a public education system. But I believe we're doing way too much. I think, kind of reading into that question, we're doing way too much at the state and actually the national level. And a lot of times we're tripping over each other. Some things we do on the national level, we do at the state level. What that does, it just builds up bureaucracy. And then the people who we're taking taxes from aren't being served because we're taking too much from the private sector to be doing things in the public sector that we shouldn't be doing.
Great, thank you. Russ Gooch.
Well, I think the main roles that the state should be involved in, of course, are infrastructure, managing our highway systems, and helping the counties to manage a CASA system, which it does. Next, I think it's to create a law enforcement structure basically throughout the state, which it does with the state patrol, and it has a network out into the sheriff departments realm, and they network into the police departments. I think another thing that is a role of government here in the state is to manage the resources of the state, protect our waters and rivers, make sure that there are clean mining operations going on in the state, and adequate power and electric facilities throughout the state, gas, those type of things. And I think one of the things that people don't think about as much is to regulate the militia, keep our National Guard in force and equipped with what they need to be able to defend us or to help in disasters, those type of things. So I think those are the areas that the state should be focused on primarily. Of course, education, as it was mentioned by Bob, has been become a large focus of the state. I believe about 40% of the budget maybe is dedicated to education. And sure that I think this should be more of a local focus rather than the state in as much control of it as they are. Of course, we all like them to send the money, but with the money comes the mandates and over-regulation in our school systems. But those are the main things.
Thanks. And Don?
It's kind of interesting. I've been looking a little bit more at our Constitution, and I was talking to somebody. They said the way to understand the Constitution is to read the Federalist Papers. So I got the book out and I started reading a little bit of the Federalist Papers. And so I also started looking at the Minnesota Constitution. And the one thing it does say is government is instituted for the security, benefit, and the protection of the people. Plain and simple. And so, I've heard somebody say that, we could get rid of a lot more government. I'd go out there and change the light bulbs, but the matter of the fact is, once you all start getting to do government jobs, like jobs that the government does now, somebody's going to not do the job that they're supposed to do, and we're going to all complain. So there is a certain amount of government we need, and that is there to benefit us. So, and security and protection, the other two. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Sean?
Well, there certainly is a place for state government in infrastructure. For example, you look at the state highway system across the state, there has to be some form of coordination. Obviously, the federal highway system that the states have to maintain, the interstate highway system. That's not federal, but it's interstate. It's created by the feds. Anyway, that's a history. So there is some level of involvement there that's legitimate for the state. There also is a legitimate place for the state in public safety, courts, state police on our public roads, etc., things like that. Protecting against force and fraud. That's the core function of government to protect the citizenry. And then Russ alluded to this, we run the state military, the National Guard. The governor is in charge of the state militia, the National Guard. So that is the legitimate of the state. And in our state constitution, we do have, I believe the exact phrase is, we must provide for, let's see, I wrote it down, a uniform system of public education. And that is in the Minnesota State Constitution. Now, so that is part of what the state of Minnesota should do as per our constitution. However, public education is a concept, not a construct. Public education, a system of public education, is a system that exists so that the public can be educated, not a public system per se. And so I think we have that kind of misunderstanding with it, in the way we see that.
Thank you, Sean. And Sheldon?
Well, I don't know what more I can add. I mean, I agree with all the gentlemen, where our basic responsibilities are, but I think the one thing that's important is state government has turned into the role about getting involved in our personal responsibilities, taking away our liberties. And, I came up with a 3R deal about what I would do, and it's repeal legislation, reduce spending and the size of government, and remove elected officials that aren't going to be fiscally responsible. That's what I would do.
Thank you. Wonderful. Let's move on to the next question.